You don't always know the exact moment someone stops trying to reach you, but you know, years later, when you realize you stopped listening for the door. I'm 31 now. The morning I'm thinking of happened 3 years ago, but I've been carrying it quietly ever since. My name is Claire Brennan. I haven't spoken to my parents since I was 14. It wasn't dramatic, there was no slamming door, just a choice I made that they couldn't forgive, and a silence that calcified over 17 years into something neither of us knew how to break. When my Uncle Ben died in February, he left behind a commercial photography studio, 2 brownstones in Brooklyn, and an estate worth $19 million. He also left a letter I didn't open for 6 weeks. What happened in that lawyer's office wasn't loud, it wasn't cinematic, but it changed the way I understood my own name. The setup. Ben wasn't my father's brother by blood, he was his half-brother, older by 11 years, different mothers, different temperaments. My father, David, ran a struggling contracting business in Jersey. Ben ran a studio in Red Hook that shot covers for National Geographic and Vogue. David resented that. I didn't know it when I was a kid. You don't notice resentment when you're small, it just feels like the weather in the house. But I felt it at Thanksgiving dinners, the way my father's jaw would tighten when Ben talked about a shoot in Iceland, the way my mother, Sharon, would change the subject before Ben could finish. I met Ben maybe 8 times growing up. But starting when I was 12, we started emailing. He'd sent me a disposable camera once for my birthday with a note, "Take pictures of things nobody else notices." I used the whole roll on door hinges and cracks in the sidewalk. He wrote back, "Good, now tell me why you chose them." We kept writing, books, photos, ideas. He never talked down, never asked how school was unless I brought it up first. He was the only adult who treated my thoughts like they had weight. August 2007, I was 14. I'd been accepted into a summer visual arts intensive in Boston, full scholarship, competitive. I wrote the application essay in the public library because we didn't have a printer at home. When the acceptance letter came, I taped it to the fridge. 2 days later, my mother sat me down at the kitchen table. My older sister, Jessica, was 17. She wanted to do a pre-college program at Rutgers that summer. It cost money, the kind we didn't have. "You're naturally talented, Claire," my mother said. Her voice was soft, reasonable. "Jessica needs structure, she needs a program on her resume for college apps." She slid the letter across the table toward me. "If you give this up, we can afford hers." I didn't understand at first. "You want me to turn it down? I'm asking you to think about your sister." I looked at my father. He was standing near the counter, arms crossed, staring at the wall above my head. "Dad?" He didn't look at me. "Your mother's talking." I sat there for a long time, then I said, very quietly, "No." Jessica looked up from her phone. My mother's face changed, not angry, disappointed, which somehow felt worse. "If you can't put this family first," she said, "I don't know what we're supposed to do with that." My father finally looked at me. "Go to your room." I went. I packed a backpack, 3 shirts, a pair of jeans, my camera, the acceptance letter. I waited until they went to bed, then I left. I stayed with my friend Marisol's family for 2 nights. Her mom made me toast and asked if I wanted to call someone. I said I didn't know who. Then the phone rang. It was Ben. "Claire," he said, "pack light, I'm 2 hours out." He drove down from Brooklyn that afternoon, silver Volvo, window cracked, NPR on low. He didn't ask what happened, didn't lecture, just opened the passenger door. "You can go back if you want," he said, "anytime, but tonight, you're sleeping in a real bed." We drove north on the turnpike in near silence. He played Coltrane, didn't try to fill the quiet. An hour in, somewhere past Newark, he pulled into a diner and bought me a grilled cheese and ginger ale. I ate without talking. Back in the car, he said one thing I've never forgotten. "I don't have kids, Claire, never wanted them, but I've got a 2nd bedroom and a key with your name on it, and I'd rather you use it than sleep on someone's couch." I nodded. That was the entire conversation. That night, I stood in his guest room in Red Hook, large window facing the water. You could see the Statue of Liberty at dusk if the weather was clear. That night it was overcast, but I knew it was there. Ben stood in the doorway. "I've been expecting something like this," he said. "I've seen how they are with you at holidays, I just didn't know when." He said goodnight. Closed the door. And that was the last time anyone in my family made me feel like I didn't belong somewhere. 17 years is a long time to compress. But here's what matters. Ben enrolled me at a charter school in Brooklyn that fall. He paid tuition without discussing it. His only rule: your money, your decisions, mine is mine. On my 15th birthday, he gave me his old Leica M6, the one he'd used in the 80s, heavy, manual, unforgiving. "Use it for things that matter," he said. I kept it in my bag every day after that. I graduated. Pratt Institute, Photography and Business, 3.87 GPA. Ben didn't come to the ceremony. He said graduations were for parents, and he wasn't trying to be one. But he left a print on my desk the next morning, one of his thoughts, landscape shots, matted and signed. On the back, in his handwriting, good, now do something with it. I did. I started freelancing at 22, joined his studio full-time at 24. He made me operations director at 28. 3 months before he died, Ben called me into his office and slid a folder across the desk. Inside, paperwork naming me co-owner of the studio and his estate executor. He'd used a fountain pen to sign it, an old Mont Blanc he'd carried since the 70s. Then he handed it to me. Hold on to this, he said. There's something else I've left with Nina, you'll see it after. Nina Castellano, his attorney, 26 years. I asked what was in it. He shook his head. After the first scare, Ben collapsed in the studio in October 2025. Cardiac episode, arrhythmia. Paramedics got there in 6 minutes. He was back at his desk 2 days later, reviewing a lighting contract like nothing happened. But something had. His color was off, he moved slower, he started going home at 5, which Ben had never done in 40 years. By December, he'd had 2 more hospital stays. I started sleeping on his couch, checking on him every few hours like the cardiologist said. In his last week, he handed me a note. His handwriting was shaky but clear. Nina has the will, I trust her, don't sign anything without her, and Claire, don't let your father near this. February 11th, 6:42 a.m. I found him in his armchair by the window, book open in his lap, glasses still on. He'd gone in his sleep. The paramedics said his heart just stopped. He was 74. The funeral was small, 38 people. Ben had pre-planned everything. My parents were not on the list. But my mother came anyway. She walked in 20 minutes late, alone, wearing black she must have bought that week. She hugged people she'd never met. She clasped the hand of Ben's longtime assistant and said, he was such a lovely man, my brother-in-law. She'd met him 3 times. Jessica didn't come. She sent flowers with a card that said, thinking of you. My father stayed in Jersey. I wasn't surprised. David only showed up when there was something to discuss. Nobody had told him the numbers yet. I was standing near the window when Sharon found me. She smelled like floral perfume and nerves. She put both hands on my shoulders. Honey, she said, I know it's been hard, but family is family. Let's not let the past hurt us today. I didn't answer. I stepped back, picked up my coat, and walked to the other side of the room. On my way out, she pressed a folded piece of paper into my hand. Her phone number. I put it in my pocket. That was a mistake. 3 days later, I took the subway to Nina's office in Tribeca, 12th floor, windows facing the Hudson. Nina was already seated, navy blazer, silver hair pulled back, 3 neat stacks of folders. She stood and shook my hand. I worked with your uncle for 26 years, she said. He was the most intentional person I ever represented. She explained the structure. The will reading wouldn't be private. Ben had designed it as a formal proceeding. 42 invited attendees, lawyers, studio staff, archivists, reps from 2 nonprofits he'd named as partial beneficiaries. He wanted witnesses, Nina said. He told me your father would make noise. He built a room full of people to stand between you and that. Then she placed something on the desk. A large envelope, sealed, 5 words in Ben's handwriting across the front. For Claire, after the funeral. He left instructions, Nina said. You open this in private, not before. I picked it up. It was heavier than I expected. Your uncle didn't trust your father, she said. He told me that the day he signed the updated will. I wanted to ask why. But Ben had taught me something about waiting. You don't ask questions when the answer is in your hands. You take it home, you sit with it. I didn't open the envelope. Not yet. The text started 2 days later. Unknown number. Claire, I know things have been complicated, but family needs to come together now. We should talk about Ben's estate. Your father is grieving. I read it twice, set the phone down. An hour later, another one. It's only fair, we're family, we can work this out. Then a voicemail. Sharon's voice, warm, measured. Sweetheart, call me back, we should do this together. Another text the next morning. Your father was Ben's brother, that means something. I didn't respond. I saved the number under, do not answer. Turned off notifications. Forwarded everything to Nina. She replied within the hour. Noted, keep all of it. 1 week later. I came home at 7 to find my parents sitting in the lobby of my building. Sharon on the bench by the mailboxes, David standing beside her, hands in his jacket pockets. They'd been waiting. David spoke first. "We just want 5 minutes. I didn't sit. I set my bag down, kept my keys in my hand. There's nothing to talk about. If there's something relevant, the attorney will reach out. Her name is Nina Castellano." Sharon stood. "Claire, your father is Ben's brother. He has rights." "He doesn't. Honey." "Nina Castellano," I said again, "that's who you contact." I walked past them, pressed the elevator button. As the doors closed, I saw David pull out his phone. He was already dialing. I heard him say, "Lou, it's me, we're gonna have to move on this." The envelope. I opened it that night. Alone, at Ben's desk in the studio. Inside were 2 things. A letter from Ben, 4 pages, handwritten, dated the day he signed the will. And underneath, a stack of printed emails, 11 of them, all from my father, all sent to Ben over the years. Each one asking for money. Some mentioned me. "If you help with the roof, maybe Claire could come visit for Thanksgiving." Sharon's been asking if Claire's okay. A little support would go a long way toward mending things. I set the emails aside. I read Ben's letter. It started, "Claire, I didn't show you these because I didn't want you to feel like a transaction. You came to me at 14 with a backpack and a camera. You showed up every day after that. That was always enough. Your father has written to me 11 times in 17 years. Every letter asks for money. Some of them mention you like you're a coupon he's holding on to." I stopped reading. Stared at the emails. Then I kept going. The last paragraph. "Your father gave you up once, then he realized you had value when I had money. I never gave up. That's the difference. Claire, you were never the backup plan, you were the one who stayed." I folded the letter. Turned off the lamp. Sat in the quiet for a long time. The reading was set for March 22nd. Nina sent formal invitations by certified mail. 4 days later, I got another voicemail. Sharon's voice, controlled, rehearsed. "Claire, we know what you're trying to do. Your father and I have spoken to a lawyer. We will contest this if we have to. We'd rather not, but we will." I forwarded it to Nina. She replied, "Noted. They've RSVP'd. They're staying at a hotel in Dumbo. They'd been in New York for days. Planning." March 22nd, 2028, 9:15 a.m. I arrived early. The conference room was already set, 42 chairs in a wide arc, name cards at every seat. At the center, 1 chair with no card. That was mine. Nina stood by the window, arranging documents. Behind her, the Hudson, a barge moving slowly south. I set the envelope on the table, sat down. Nina leaned close. "If anything unexpected happens, I handle it first. You speak when you're ready." I nodded. "They RSVP'd for 10, she said. It's 9:17. I looked at the river and waited. At 9:58, Sharon walked in. Black dress, the same one from the funeral. David followed, suit too big in the shoulders. Jessica came last, phone low, screen angled toward the room. Recording. Sharon started working the room immediately. She walked up to Ben's former studio manager, extended both hands. "I'm Claire's mother, so good to finally meet you." The woman smiled politely, stepped back. Nina intercepted. "Mrs. Brennan, your seats are here." She gestured to 3 chairs, 2nd row, far right. Sharon paused. "We're family, we should be up front." Nina's voice didn't change. "These are the assigned seats." Sharon sat. David beside her. Jessica on the end, phone still out. Nina stood. The room went quiet in layers. "We are here for the reading of the last will and testament of Benjamin Arthur Sales, born April 2nd, 1951, deceased February 11th, 2028. She adjusted her glasses. "This will was notarized on November 19th, 2027, in the presence of 2 witnesses and a notary public." She paused, looked at Sharon, then David, then the rest of the room. "The testator left specific instructions, I'll quote directly." She read. "It is my wish that this reading serve as both a memorial and a legal confirmation, in the presence of those who worked alongside me." Sharon shifted in her seat. Nina continued. Standard language, witnesses, filing dates. But the way she read it, slow, clear, deliberate, made every sentence feel like a lock turning. Then she turned the page. Article 3, I designate my niece, Claire Brennan, as sole heir to the residue of my estate, including all real property, studio assets, and personal holdings. She paused. I further designate Claire Brennan as sole executor, with full authority under New York probate law. 42 heads turned toward me. I kept my hands in my lap. Nina continued. This designation is made in full awareness that my half-brother, David Brennan, is a surviving relative. She looked directly at David. He is intentionally excluded. This exclusion is not made in error. The room inhaled. The court reporter typed. Sharon's face changed. I watched it happen. The warmth drained, the mask slipped. David stood. This is a mistake. Nina, without raising her voice. It is not, please sit. Jessica lifted her phone higher. Nina turned to her. Phone's away, this is a legal proceeding. Jessica hesitated. Then lowered it. Sharon stood. He was sick, she manipulated him. Her voice cut across the room. You don't know what happened. She left our family. She ran away and isolated my brother-in-law for 17 years. She pointed at me. She took advantage of a sick old man. Nobody spoke. Ben's studio manager set down her pen. The archivist folded his arms. Sharon's voice climbed. We're his real family. I raised that girl for 14 years. I fed her, I drove her to school. Her voice cracked. And for half a second, I saw it. She believed it. She genuinely thought those 14 years entitled her to something. Her math made sense to her. The logic was broken. But it was hers. I stayed seated. Didn't speak, didn't blink. Nina raised one hand. Mrs. Brennan, please sit. Sharon didn't. I'm not sitting until I get answers. Nina looked at me. I shook my head. Not yet. David stood. My brother was sick the last 6 months. Diana, Claire, was the only one with access. That's undue influence. Nina let him finish. Then she lifted a document. This will was notarized on November 19th. Mr. Sales underwent a medical capacity evaluation on November 12th. The evaluation was recorded and is on file. She set it down. The testator's intent is documented across 15 years of correspondence with this firm. The will is sound. David's jaw tightened. We have a lawyer. Nina tilted her head. Lou Ferraro, solo practice, Hackensack. We're aware. The room shifted. David blinked. How? He filed notice yesterday. A silence. Then someone knocked. The door opened. A man in his 40s stepped in, briefcase, tie slightly crooked. He stopped 2 steps inside. His eyes moved across the room, the court reporter, the witnesses, the documents. Then to David. Lou Ferraro. Nina didn't miss a beat. Mr. Ferraro, welcome, please, have a seat. I can provide a copy of the will if you'd like to review it on behalf of your client. She slid a bound copy toward an empty chair. Lou sat. Opened it. Read 3 pages in silence. Then closed it. Turned to David. We need to talk, outside. David leaned forward. Just file what we discussed. David. Lou set the document down. We need to talk. I stood. Not fast, not loud. I placed both hands on the table, pushed my chair back. Rose the way Ben used to at the start of a client meeting. Deliberate, unhurried. Nina stepped aside. I opened the envelope. Removed Ben's letter. Held it up so the room could see the handwriting. My uncle left me this letter the day he signed his will, I said. My voice was steady. I'd practiced it once, at 3 a.m., standing in the studio. I read it aloud. All 4 paragraphs. When I reached the last one, I slowed. Your father gave you up once, then he realized you had value when I had money. I never gave up. That's the difference. Claire, you were never the backup plan, you were the one who stayed. Il est utile. Then I set the letter down. Picked up the stack of emails. These are 11 emails my father sent to my uncle over 17 years. Each one asks for money, several mention me, as leverage. I set them on the table. My family didn't lose me, they gave me up, and then they spent 17 years trying to sell me back to the brother they resented. I looked at Sharon, then David, then Jessica. I'm not asking for an apology, I'm not interested in reconciliation. I reached into my jacket. Pulled out Ben's Mont Blanc. Uncapped it. Signed the executor confirmation Nina had placed at my seat. The pen clicked when I set it down. If you want to file something, I said, file it. The will is sound. Nina will represent the estate. You'll be billed for legal costs. I sat. The pen lay on the table. Catching the light. Sharon cried. But this time, nobody reached for a tissue. The studio manager looked away. The archivist studied his hands. Jessica's hand moved toward her purse. Then stopped. She'd seen the court reporter. She folded her hands instead. Lou stood. Straightened his tie. Turned to Nina. I'll be withdrawing by Monday. He walked out. The door closed softly. David took Sharon's arm, helped her up. She was still crying. But the performance had lost its audience. Jessica followed them out. She paused at the door. Looked back at me. I couldn't read her expression. Then she left. The remaining 39 people stayed seated. Then one of the nonprofit reps raised her hand. I'd like to thank Claire, on behalf of the Visual Arts Fund, for honoring Ben's wishes. Soft applause. 6 or 7 people. The kind that sounds like agreement. I closed the envelope. Set the pen on top. And let the room breathe. 6 months later. I was sitting in Ben's old office, my office, reviewing the contract for a new studio lease in Bed-Stuy. My first expansion as sole owner. Ben would have liked the space, high ceilings, north light. David filed his contest in April. The court dismissed it in 73 days. No standing, no evidence. The estate billed him $62,000 in legal fees. The payment plan started in September. Sharon sent one more letter in July. I recognized the handwriting. I didn't open it. I filed it in my desk next to Ben's notebook. Jessica deleted her Instagram in August. I didn't check to confirm. The studio now has 2 locations. Total value just over $22 million. Ben left me a business. I'm running it the way he taught me. Read carefully, speak when necessary, never sign anything without Nina. I picked up the Mont Blanc from its place on the desk. The engraving had worn smooth on one side. I uncapped it. Started writing. Not to anyone. Just to get it down while it was still clear. Here's what Ben taught me in those 17 years between the night I packed a backpack and the morning the will was read. Family is not who shares your blood. Family is who shows up when you have nothing, and stays anyway. And once you understand that, really understand it, the people who walked away when you were 14 can never quite reach you again. That's not bitterness. That's not revenge. That's a boundary. And a boundary, it turns out, is its own kind of inheritance. If this story made you think of someone who needed to hear it, share it. Drop a word in the comments, just one, that's enough. And if you're new here, subscribe. We tell stories like this every week. Stories about people who stop explaining and start deciding. I'll see you in the next one.